Yeah, before we bring in our guest today, guys, it's winners take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you your shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. All you guys have to do is visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
And with that, we welcome in Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, the Browns' longtime beat reporter. Mary Kay, it's been a while. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Mary Kay, do you get excited for the start of OTAs just like we do? It means real football is back in our lives.
We do?
Yeah.
Well, you're a black soul. You don't get excited for anything. The rest of us are happy to have real football back.
I do get excited for it. I've been writing about all of these new players the whole entire offseason. I haven't gotten a chance to see them yet. So it really is an opportunity to get out there, to see what Jameis Winston looks like, to see what Jerry Jeudy looks like, to see what Deshaun looks like throwing the ball if we get a chance to see that tomorrow. All the rest of the new guys that have been brought in. So I do get excited for the start of OTAs.
You mentioned Jerry, and I asked Ty, generally, I didn't. Is he for sure going to be here at OTAs this week? Do we know, or do you have to wait till you get out on the field tomorrow and see who's there?
We have to wait until we get out there to see who's there, but I would imagine that Jerry Jeudy would show up for his very first set of OTAs with the Cleveland Browns. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be here. I don't think that would be a good look, even though they're not supposed to hold that against anybody. I would think he's raring to go, so I expect to see him.
Mary Kay, they definitely hold that against you, just FYI. It definitely raises eyebrows when you don't show up to OTAs. Who has been your favorite, acquisition, I should say, from the Cleveland Browns this year? Who are you excited to see? Which one player are you excited to see?
Well, there are a lot of them, but I really am looking forward to seeing Jameis Winston out there, seeing what he brings to the table on the field and also off the field from a leadership standpoint, from a charisma standpoint. He's just a booming vocal leader, and I want to see the impact that he's going to be having on this offense. I want to see how he interacts with Deshaun and just how he is relating to the other quarterbacks. I think he's going to have an impact on this team this year in many, many ways, and I think we'll see the start of that tomorrow.
Mary Kay, you wrote, I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago after rookie camp, about Ken Dorsey's fingerprints already being felt on the offense. Do you have any more clarity on how Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski and the rest of the offensive coaches are coming together to collaborate on whatever the 2024 version of this offense is going to look like?
Well, I think Ken Dorsey really is putting his stamp on the offense, and I think that he's going to have a tremendous impact on what goes on offense this season, and he's bringing in a lot of what he learned under Brian Daboll in Buffalo. He's bringing in a lot of what Deshaun Watson ran under Bill O'Brien in Houston. So it's the kind of offense that Deshaun is very, very accustomed to, and I think that Ken Dorsey is going to be really, in some ways, driving the bus on the offense. I don't know if he's going to get play calling duties or not, but he's going to be installing and implementing a lot of the things that have gone really well in Buffalo and in New England and in Houston over the past how many ever years.
Mary Kay, if you made me predict who's going to call plays, my prediction would probably be Ken. But I've couched it a little bit and said, take Kevin at his word in terms of maybe he hasn't made up his mind yet, because he hasn't had any interactions yet really with Ken up until this point. This, to me, feels like the first opportunity to get those guys together on the field and working and feeling this out, sort of like the process he had to go through with AVP when he first arrived. Is there merit to that? Do you think Kevin knows in the back of his mind he's just waiting until close to the season to announce, or do you think he really does need to get on the field with Ken, see how they work together, and see how it looks?
I think they're probably still in the fact-finding mission of this whole thing of who would be best served to call the plays for them this season. I think that he's probably more seriously considering turning it over to Ken Dorsey than he ever did to AVP, in large part because he was running his own offense for the first 4 years. Now they're going to be running a different offense that Ken Dorsey is probably more well-versed in. So there is some wisdom in turning it over to Ken. However, I've been saying this all along. I still think that Kevin is young in his play calling career. He's never had the chance to call a game for a full season for Deshaun Watson. And if I were him, I probably wouldn't give it up. He can call these plays that even though Ken Dorsey is putting the offense in, or at least putting his stamp on the offense, Kevin can still call those plays. And then you get to midseason and you say, hey, I think I'm ready to turn this over. Then you can do it like that. But I do think that he probably is giving way more serious consideration to turning it over than he did under AVP.
Mary Kay, how do you think this run game will look? You know, now that Bill Callahan is gone and Nick Chubb won't be out there, at least for OTAs, how do you expect this running back room to look, and how do you expect this new run game to look under Ken Dorsey / Kevin Stefanski / Andy Dickerson?
Well, they're going to have just a whole new philosophy, whole new energy and vibe in the running game. They have a run game coordinator. They have Deuce Staley coaching the running backs. Again, as you mentioned, and I've been writing for a long time, Nick Chubb is not going to be participating in these OTAs or the mini camp. They're waiting and letting him ramp up some in training camp. So it's going to have a different feel to it. I think you're going to see a lot more of Pierre Strong. I think that there's an opportunity for him to step up and really sort of plant his flag in this offense this year a little bit more. But for the most part, I think they're going to still run the football. I think they understand how important that is, especially in the AFC North and in this climate. And so I think it will still complement the offense, but you will see more 3 wides, more 4 wides, some spread, and some different things.
Mary Kay, we will get a first glimpse at Deshaun Watson post-shoulder surgery tomorrow. Do you have any insight on exactly what the Browns' plans to utilize Deshaun throughout this OTA period is as he continues to rehab and recover from that shoulder surgery?
Well, as I wrote again yesterday in an insider that I did covering a lot of these topics, I do think that he is on a pitch count right now, and he might be going every other day, or maybe he'll do off to the side one day, some 7-7s one day. Not exactly sure how they're mapping it all out, but he's not going to be full go from the jump. By the time we get to week 3, the one that we're out there for is, I think, June 5th. By the time we get to that week, he could be stepping up and taking those first team reps in 7-on-7s and team drills. I think they'll work towards that. And then same thing, kind of mini camp. And then he'll have that break that everybody has for 5 weeks or so. And then he'll be ready to go full go in training camp. But I still think that they will be judicious about it. I still think that they will let Jameis Winston take some of those first team reps to take the wear and tear off of Deshaun's shoulder. But he will be throwing to the extent that we will be able to see what that shoulder and what that arm looks like by the end of OTAs.
Is there any chance Nick Chubb's ready week 1? I think we all assume he'll just start on PUP, but I'm just wondering, is it too early to know, or do you think there's any chance he's ready for the opener?
I suppose there's a chance because we're talking about freak of nature Nick Chubb. But I don't really expect him to be ready for week 1 because when you think about it, it will only be a year since he suffered this horrendous injury in September. And you're talking about not just an ACL, you're talking about MCL, several other areas, and this is a twice reconstructed knee. So I don't think they should rush it. Again, it's Nick Chubb. He might prove everybody wrong and get out there for week 1, but I am not expecting that to happen.
Mary Kay, the Browns have moved on from Anthony Walker, who was such a big voice on that defense. He was such a leader on that defense, and they replaced him with Jordan Hicks. How confident are you that Jordan Hicks can come in and be that leader, be that Mike linebacker that this team needs to be successful defensively?
Jordan Hicks brings some of those same leadership qualities that Anthony Walker had. Just in talking to him the one time that we did on the conference call, you could just tell he doesn't only bring experience, he brings a very nice vocal leadership. I think he's someone that the younger players are going to look up to and follow right away. It's natural. And I feel like that with a lot of the guys that they've brought in, there's something about them that transcends the game, that they are guys, some of them have real big personalities, some of them are a little bit more quiet, but they all have a love of a game. I mean, I'm talking about even guys that have been here before, like the Rodney McLeods of the world. They're just really good, solid guys that are willing to impart their wisdom on the younger guys, and I think Jordan is one of those. And I feel pretty good about the linebacker room, actually.
Mike, I have a question, and I'm not trying to be cynical with this question. I'm genuinely curious what your opinion on this is. The Browns hired Chris Polian as a special advisor to Andrew Berry yesterday. He has an extensive resume in the article he wrote on the hiring. I think it went 20 lines deep of his NFL front office experience and all that. Between Polian and Berry, and they have Mike Vrabel as a special advisor to Stefanski. And with all the minds in that brain trust, are you ever worried that there might be too many cooks in the kitchen? Or is there all certain roles for each one of these guys to help the Browns reach their maximum potential?
I don't think there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't think you can have too many really brilliant people taking a look at the whole situation, getting another pair of eyes on things, and making sure that you are seeing it the way that it really is, or the way that you should be looking at it. And when you have somebody like a Chris Polian who has been around so long, who actually shares so many of the same philosophies of Andrew Berry, because they worked together. Andrew worked for Chris Polian in Indianapolis, just the same way he worked for Ryan Grigson there. And just as an example, one of the things Andrew took from Ryan Grigson was, do not cut costs on your offensive line. You must build tough through the lines. And that was a hard lesson that Ryan Grigson had to learn in Indianapolis. Andrew brought that here, and it has served him well. It will serve Deshaun Watson well. So I just don't think that it can hurt to bring in that kind of experience. I don't think there's too many cooks in the kitchen, because it really just funnels up to Andrew. Chris Polian is not going to be saying, no, we're going to do it my way. And Mike Vrabel is not going to be saying, no, Kevin, this is how we're going to do this. Those guys are there in a support role. They're sounding boards, and they fit the profile. I mean, they just all are speaking the same language. I think it will be helpful.
You know, Mary Kay, we spend a lot of time talking about the offense, and I feel bad that I neglected my side of the ball and expertise. So I want to ask you, what defensive player do you see making a huge leap in this upcoming season?
Well, one of the things to note about this defense is the fact that they are almost getting an influx of talent just by virtue of all of the guys coming back from injuries. You look at Grant Delpit coming back from a groin injury that cost him the last part of the season. Juan Thornhill was hampered all year by a calf injury. Obo is coming back off of a torn pec. So is Maurice Hurst. And the list kind of goes on and on. So I think just with all of these guys coming back, it's going to feel really, really new. But in terms of one guy that might take a big leap, I'm going to say Grant. Not that he's got a whole big, huge way to go, but I think if he can stay healthy this season, I think you're going to see more impact plays from him. I think he's ready to really sort of bust out, and he wasn't able to finish the season the way that he wanted to because of that groin injury. So if he can stay on the field and stay healthy, I think there's a chance for him to maybe have a Pro Bowl caliber season.
I want to make sure that we get all of the obligatory or OTA important questions. Who's going to call the plays, all the stand. Oh, here's another one. How long does it take to finalize a contract? Because we heard at the end of March that they were just finalizing these extensions, and it's now May and still no announcement. Are they just waiting for the regular season at this point, or for training camp to roll these things out for Kevin and Andrew?
No, I think it'll still happen sooner than later. I think it's just a matter of they probably want to announce them together. So they just have to make sure that both of them are done, that the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and there's been vacations and draft and all these kinds of things since Jimmy Haslam told us in March at the owners' meetings that they were close. So close is a relative term. It really hasn't been all that long since then. I think it will happen fairly soon.
The Browns, after drafting Mike Hall Jr. and Javon Briggs, now have 7 defensive tackles on the roster, Mary Kay. I think keeping 7's impossible. I think keeping 6 might even be tough. Who's the odd man out if if the Browns only decide to go with 5 defensive tackles? Do you have any insight or any idea who that might be?
That's a great question, because I know that they really like the guys that they have. They do have a surplus. And I don't know exactly how they're going to manage that unless someone is willing to maybe trade for one of those guys or something. Because right now, At the 3 technique alone, you're talking about Shelby Harris can do that. You've got Mo Hurst that can do that. You've got Quentin Jefferson. You've got Mike Hall. And that's just at the 3 technique, not the nose. And so there are a few more bodies there than they probably need. But I know they really, really like pretty much all of these guys. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. Sometimes by the time you have to make those decisions, the issue has resolved itself through an injury or whatnot. So I really don't know. I don't think there's anybody they want to part with out of that group right now, but they will have to make some tough decisions.
When you look at this coaching staff, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it's the corners coach. He had a bunch of defensive coordinator opportunities. What made him turn them down and stay with the Cleveland Browns?
I don't know. Sometimes you get interviews, but you don't actually get the opportunity to take the job. You don't get hired. So I don't know exactly how all of those things worked out, but certainly the secondary is just a strength of this team. I think it will be so again. Brandon is an excellent coach. The guys really love playing for him. And he is, I'm talking about Brandon Lynch. He's somebody that probably won't be around for a bunch of years because he is going to be sought after as a defensive coordinator, as a head coach. But certainly the secondary is going to continue to be a strength of this team, and looking forward to seeing how some of the young guys even step up this year.
Mary Kay, let's have some fun here. 17-0 this year now that the schedule is out. Are you predicting a perfect season for the Browns, or what's a more realistic record for this team now that we know how week 1s through week 18 and their opponents lay out?
Do you do that stupid schedule game? Do you play that dumb
You have to. It's a right in the media. You got to play
so
it.
dumb.
Will you stop with
It's
that?
so dumb.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I told you it's
What
every
if you
Mary Kay.
did it and you was right?
Huh?
What if you predicted it and then
Well, I usually am, but it's still
Oh,
dumb.
Jason, stop it.
Mary Kay, what say you?
I will tell you that when you do a podcast 5 days a week, the schedule game starts to look better and better to you. So you never know.
Thank you, Mary Kay.
I can't make any promises that we won't play the crazy schedule game. But I will say this about the schedule. The final 7 games are some of the toughest games that I've seen this Cleveland Browns team have to finish with since I've been covering them for 100 years. I mean, it is a hard finish to the schedule. It's got 4 AFC North games. It's got 4 primetime games. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town. They better hope that they are healthy for that final stretch, because it is absolutely grueling, and they're going to have to pad that win total as much as they can in the beginning of the season when they have a few easier games, because the NFL schedule makers did them no favors with the way they have to finish. And we already know they have the hardest schedule in the NFL this season, according to win totals from last year, and the 3rd toughest according to Vegas projected win total. So it's going to be tough no matter how you slice it.
Most importantly, are you willing to trust me to plan Saturday night in Vegas for the Browns beat before the game against the Raiders?
Who are the other Mary Kay, who are the other options? If it's not Jason planning it, who else would?
I mean, I think it has to be me in Vegas. But if I did botch the reservation at the Combine a couple years ago, so I have to wear that one.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if the rest of the beat. I don't know if the rest of the beat will trust me to plan a Saturday night in Vegas without it ending in
You
handcuffs.
got this. You can have it. I will tell you, though, that I have been looking at rooms, and some of the hotels that I would like to stay at, the rooms are like $600
Oh,
a
wow.
night.
It's
right
because Electric EDC. What's the music festival called? EDC.
I think it's EDC.
Yeah, it's a giant music festival in Vegas that same weekend.
Is it really?
Yeah, giant music festival in
Oh,
Vegas.
that's why.
now. Is that what it is? Because even I went to the Super Bowl in Vegas, and the Super Bowl rooms were nowhere near as expensive as what I'm seeing for this Browns game. And so I already booked a place, but not in one of my fave spots.
Yeah.
So I got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But you can have it, Jason. Go ahead.
I'll be the tour
I'm
guide.
ready.
I'll be the tour guide. I'll try and keep everyone out of jail.
Our resident show alcoholic, Anthony, just said a six-pack of Miller Lite at EDC is $90. So that's the kind of prices you're competing with when you go to Vegas. Was that week 4?
You should be drinking water anyway.
So Mary Kay, thank you so much. Enjoy OTAs tomorrow. We can't wait to read what you see on the field from all our favorite Browns. Thanks so much for having some time to join us today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Thanks for having me, guys.